Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. It's your girl Lori, and I want to talk to you about expecting you out of people. You hear me talk about this a lot, and I wanted to do a good 10-minute or so video on this so I can go into it a little bit deeper. I have covered it a few times on different topics on the podcast, but if you want something more, let me know down here in the comments. But it is so important that you understand that people are not you. And I know logically you understand this, but the ego piece of that, right? So your ego kicks in, and somehow or another you think that they should be you. Not so much you, but they should do things the way that you do them. They should react the way that you react. And while that seems dramatic, even if it may not be top of the world dramatic like that, it is something that you're struggling with, because how you respond to things is how you respond to them. This is where it's called emotional maturity, right? So when you have emotional maturity, you accept the fact that people are different than you. People do things differently, and you don't have to like them. See, that's the acceptance piece, and that's all ego. That's a control thing, and that's ego. And you have to realize everybody processes their life totally different, and that's not wrong for them. You may not like it, and this is where that piece of accepting it for what it is. And I've said this before, things are not good or bad, they just are. And sometimes how you do things, what may or may not work for you, and they may or may not work for somebody else, and that's okay. So that's why you have to be careful of trying to understand, why does this person do this? Why does this person respond this way? Or why does this person not respond this way? Or why does this person not do these things? And that's important. It's important because you have to understand that they literally don't have to, and they don't owe you the reason as to why they're not doing it your way. So a few tips on that, right, is be aware of it. Don't judge it, right? Because it's a control thing, right? Because you might not have had control in any other area of your life. You're definitely in lack of self-love. So if you are expecting other people to be you, or if you would like for them to be you, listen, it's good to be like, oh man, that'd be nice if they do this, but don't live there. Don't live there, because it's not going to benefit you in any way. And then you're going to get salty, and then you're going to try to understand why. And I'll repeat this 100 times in 100 different videos, is stop expecting people's why. You don't need the why. They don't owe that to you. Because even if they did give you the why, now what? Now you're going to approve or disapprove that why? You're going to be like, well, I don't like that. Well, it doesn't matter. See, that's the in-depth piece of it that you have to sit with. You have to remember that it doesn't matter if you understand it. It doesn't matter if you like it, and vice versa. You don't have to go on this big explanation tour as to why you do things, why they should understand it, why they should value that. Stop. Nobody has to get down with it. If it works for you, great. Let it work for you. It's not about anybody else. But that's important for you to accept. And sometimes it's hard, like with parents who have adult kids, like I have adult kids too. And yeah, they're not always going to respond the way that you would like for them to, or how you would. You're going to have to accept that, right? Because if not, what you don't want, okay, let's pretend somebody does start doing things the way that you would and how you would want it. There's a good chance they're going to get resentful towards you. So yeah, they might show up because you would, but do you really want them showing up? And then they're like, oh God, when am I out of here? Like, I'm here, but like, you don't want somebody to be there if they don't really choose to be there. You really don't. You think you do, but that's where the self-love comes into play. Because if you have self-love, you're not willing to just take those little scraps. You don't have to like it. You don't have to judge it though. And that's the piece of it that you really have to work on, is not judging that aspect of it. Stop judging why they do it. Stop trying to understand it, and don't gossip about it. Don't start with the whole, I don't understand. Did you see your sister? Why is she doing that? Like, now we start gossiping. It's not the same as venting. It's not the same as processing with a friend, but you want to be careful of that, because now you're sitting in judgment, but yet you're sitting in judgment to judge another person, but you're not doing the things that you need to do. So you need to check yourself. Anytime when you start judging anyone on anything, check yourself. Because if you're doing that, you're distracting yourself to try to understand their reasoning, but not your own. So you really have to be mindful of your actions. Like, they're just thoughts, right? So thoughts are going to come, and you can't do anything about that. But you have to remember and understand that every human being is living a different life. Like, All of the humans on the entire planet and planets thereafter are all living a separate life. Yes, we are a collective. Yes, we are mammals, so we do have interactions and interpersonal relationships. But you don't try to control a narrative. You don't say, well, this is how I love, this is how you should love. No. It's one thing to examine the 5 love languages, but you want to be careful because some of those 5 love languages lead into codependency. That's from codependency. So sometimes what you think your love language is a codependent love language. However, if you're like, so for me, my number 1 is acts of service. It has nothing to do with codependency, none whatsoever. I don't care if you bring me flowers. I don't care if you could bring me jewelry. I don't care if you say, great job. Like, I don't need affirmations or anything like that. I know what I'm doing and it's fine. I don't need somebody to tell me it's fine. But to see you come home and be like, oh, let me sweep the floor or let me do that, I don't expect it. I said, I like it. That is a love language for me. Okay. So that's mine, you know? And so if you have the affirmations, it's great. Everybody likes to hear, hey, great job. Fine. And that could be your number 1. But is it your number 1 because you need it, or is it nice to hear, or what is it that you're basing it on? Are you basing your worth and value on another human being? So you have to be careful that, and I promise I'll do a whole thing on love languages, right? And here's the thing though, just because it's your love language doesn't mean after you do this test and you're just like, here's my love language, you have to do this. No, they don't. They can be mindful that that's your desires. They don't have to change it. So that's what I'm saying. You have to be very careful. If you go, well, but I would never do that. Okay, well, good. That's you. They're not you. They're not you. Well, I would pick up the phone and ask somebody how they're doing more. Okay, again, they're not you. And when you accept that and you understand that when you think you need that, there is still codependency there. And a codependent relationship, and a true on full codependent relationship, episode 91 on my podcast that will come out Sunday, is on codependency. So, and enmeshment. So it might be something for you to listen to. Just, it's anywhere that podcasts can be found. It's the Positivity Experience, just like YouTube. But it's important that you really get that a true codependent relationship is when 2 people are codependent on each other. And you'd be like, oh, that's great. No, it's not great. You don't need to be codependent on it. Nobody needs to be codependent. We are that way because of our trauma, our upbringing, our insecurity, our lack of self-love, our lack of self-esteem. I mean, we know the reasons, but I'm just telling you what it shows. So the next time you look at anything and you say, but I would do, pause, just acknowledge what you're doing. Oh, I'm inflicting that. I just wish that would happen. Stop with the wishing. Stop with the wishing. Is it something that's in your control to achieve? If it's like, I wish my house was clean. Okay, over a period of time, can you do that? Yes, you can. I wish this person was different. Can you do that? No, you cannot. Don't even try, and don't beat your head up. Because, like I said, even if someone was to change for you, especially if someone changes for you, they go to therapy for you, they do all of these things for you, hard pass. At some point, they will resent you. I'm telling you, because they're not being them. They're saying that in order to, now that you know that there's a lot of stuff going on there, and that's why we have to unbox it. Because there's a level of codependency there. It's one thing to compromise. It's another thing to change who you are to suit somebody's needs who will never be satisfied. Because until you're good with yourself, you're not ever going to be satisfied. You might be in the beginning. You might be satisfied in the beginning about something until you're not. And then you need more. And then you need more. And then you need more. So again, that's called moving the goalpost. Remember, here's the goalpost. You kick that field goal. You're like, okay, cool. You can't be satisfied with that. You move it back further. Now you got to do it again. Now you got to do it again. That's not the same as growth. That's not growth. That's you seeking outside of yourself for happiness. And the moment you want someone to respond how you respond, that's you seeking for happiness in another human being or in another situation. And the reality is that doesn't happen. That can be an extra joy for you. That can be an extra enhancement to who you are and what you stand for and how you love and all that. They're great. That's what we need, human interaction, but not at the cost of control. That's not human interaction, that's imprisonment. So if you're expecting everyone to be like you, you're kind of trying to put them in this little prison box. And then you're not allowing them to be them. If you don't love them exactly how they are, if it's bad, just distance from it, don't judge it. They're just not in a different part of their life, they're in a different season. But when you go into, oh, my feelings are hurt and all that stuff. Remember, your feelings are not facts, and they only created an action or words, or they didn't do what you wanted them to do. Now your feelings are hurt and all this stuff. They did not hurt your feelings. You had your feelings hurt. They don't have to like change that. So, and vice versa, that's for you as well. Like, you don't have to change that up either. I mean, don't be mean, but be sturdy, be strong in your boundaries. So that's the thing I'm expecting you out of people. You got to be mindful that you're doing it. And then as it creeps up, just acknowledge it, don't judge it. And then remember, everyone has a right to be their own person.